Stop being too friendly. Yes, you. And before you flinch, hear this. Kindness is beautiful, but self-erasure is not. Too many people mistake your warmth for weakness, your generosity for access, and your silence for permission. Today I want to tell you something that may feel uncomfortable, but it will set you free. Your life is not a public playground, and it's time you stopped acting like it is. Too often you allow people to walk in and out of your world without proving they deserve to be there. You let them interrupt your peace, drain your spirit, and rewrite the narrative of who you're supposed to be. You hand out access like you're giving away coupons, discounts on your time, your love, your energy. And why? Because you want to be liked? Because you want to avoid conflict? Because somewhere along the way you started believing that being friendly means being endlessly available? You need to understand something right now. The world will not reward you for being overly accommodating. It rewards you for being intentional, grounded, and aware of your own worth. When you treat your life like open property, people will treat it with the same carelessness reserved for something they never had to earn. Look at your patterns. When someone calls, you pick up, even when you're tired. When someone needs help, you rush, even when you're overwhelmed. When someone crosses your boundaries, you smile, even when your heart is screaming. You think accommodating everyone will make you irreplaceable, but in reality it makes you invisible. You blend into the background of your own life. You become the person people expect to always say yes, always show up, always be understanding, always be forgiving. And let me tell you, once people get used to your self-sacrifice, they stop seeing it as generosity and start seeing it as your role. You become the giver, the fixer, the reliable one, the one who bends, and eventually the one who breaks. But people don't respect what they can break. They respect what stands tall, even when pressured. It's not your job to make life comfortable for everyone around you. Your job is to protect your purpose, but you can't protect your purpose if you're constantly letting people walk freely through your emotional space. You need gates. You need standards. You need the courage to say, you don't get to enter unless you show up with respect. Think about this. The most valuable places on earth are protected. Vaults, museums, national treasures. They're guarded because what's inside matters. So why do you treat yourself like an unlocked shed in the back of a yard? You are carrying wisdom, dreams, strength, potential, and emotional power. That's not ordinary. That's not something to be passed around casually. And the moment you start treating yourself as valuable, others will have no choice but to treat you the same way. When you draw a boundary, you're not pushing people away. You're creating space for the right ones to step forward. The moment you say, this is who I am, this is what I allow, this is what I won't tolerate, something powerful happens. The people who were only there for convenience begin to fade. The ones who relied on your silence get uncomfortable. The ones who took advantage of your friendliness start retreating. And maybe that scares you. Maybe the idea of losing people feels like failure, but losing people who were only there for what you could offer is not failure, it's freedom. You don't want to carry people who drain you into the next stage of your life. You don't want your greatness watered down by those who can only handle you in your smallest form. You want people who rise with you, not people who cling to you because you make their life easier. You deserve relationships that feel mutual. You deserve environments where your boundaries are respected without resistance. You deserve to be surrounded by people who value your time, not consume it. But none of that will happen as long as you're overly friendly. Being friendly isn't the issue. It's being friendly at the expense of yourself. You can be kind without being permissive. You can be warm without being walked on. You can be generous without being depleted. And real kindness, real warmth, real generosity, those things flourish more when they are protected. When you stop being available to everyone, you create deeper availability for the people who matter. You give more quality, more authenticity, more presence. You stop spreading yourself thin and start showing up whole. There is a powerful transformation waiting for you on the other side of boundaries. The day you choose to guard your energy, you'll notice something shift inside you. You'll start standing taller. You'll start speaking clearer. You'll start choosing environments that honor you rather than environments that drain you. You'll build relationships rooted in respect, not convenience. And you'll feel something you may not have felt in a long time: ownership of your life. The truth is, you can't control how people behave, but you can control who gets a seat at your table. And the moment you become selective, your entire world elevates. You stop living like a public park. You start living like sacred ground. Stop giving your access freely. Start protecting your power fiercely. Your life is not open to everyone. And the moment you honor that truth, everything changes. Approval is the most expensive addiction you will ever battle. And the price isn't money, it's yourself. You spend years trying to be agreeable, polite, easy to like, easy to understand, easy to accept. You try to soften your edges, dim your intensity, shrink your opinions, all because you fear someone might misunderstand you. But here's the truth you've been dodging. The people who require you to water yourself down were never meant to drink from your well in the first place. You keep bending, hoping someone will clap. You keep compromising, hoping someone will validate you. And the tragedy is, most people aren't even noticing the sacrifices you're making. They're too busy benefiting from them. Approval becomes a chase with no finish line. A sprint that leaves you gasping while others relax in the comfort you created. Every time you say yes when every part of you aches to say no, you feed the addiction. You hand your self-respect over like it's a bargaining chip. You negotiate with your own worth just to keep the peace. And maybe you convince yourself that it's temporary, that it's kindness, that you're just being supportive. But deep down, you know what it really is: fear. Fear of rejection, fear of disappointment, fear that without your compliance you won't be loved. That's what approval addiction does. It convinces you that love must be earned, that belonging must be purchased through endless self-betrayal. But the more you trade pieces of yourself just to stay accepted, the more you quietly resent the people you're trying to please. You don't lose yourself all at once. You lose yourself in tiny, polite, socially acceptable pieces. You become acclimated to the discomfort of living inauthentically. You learn to wear masks so well that you forget what your real face feels like. You learn to adapt to rooms instead of choosing rooms that fit your spirit. You learn to anticipate what others want from you before they even say it. And slowly, you start believing that your worth is contingent on constant performance. But here is the dangerous part: people will never stop wanting more from you. The moment you make yourself easy, you become expected. The moment you make yourself available, you become responsible. The moment you make yourself agreeable, you become replaceable. Approval addiction robs you of your identity, then convinces you that disappearing was noble. But disappearing is not noble, it's tragic. You weren't born to be a quiet reflection of other people's expectations. You were born to stand in your own voice. And let me be clear, the cost of approval is not only internal, it bleeds into your relationships, your career, your opportunities, your future. When you act like you need permission to exist at full strength, people take advantage of it. They sense your hunger for validation, and they use it to shape your behavior. You stop advocating for yourself in the workplace because you don't want to be seen as difficult. You stay in friendships that drain you because you don't want to upset anyone. You tolerate disrespect in relationships because you fear confrontation. And slowly, the world molds you, not into who you are, but into who is easiest to manage. You lose influence because you refuse to express your truth. You lose respect because you refuse to set boundaries. You lose yourself because you refuse to disappoint anyone. And the heartbreaking reality? You end up disappointing yourself most of all. But this truth should electrify you. The moment you stop chasing external approval, your entire presence shifts. You become grounded. You become clear. You become anchored in your own value. People feel the change in your energy. They can no longer manipulate you with silence, guilt, or expectation. You become someone who speaks with conviction, someone who stands their ground, someone who chooses authenticity over applause. And authenticity is magnetic. It draws real people, real opportunities, real respect. You stop attracting those who only value your compliance and begin attracting those who value your character. Approval addiction may have been your past, but it does not have to be your identity. You can release it, you can outgrow it, you can rise beyond it. There is a version of you waiting, one that lives boldly, not timidly, one that expresses without hesitation, one that walks into rooms not asking, will they like me, but declaring, do they align with me? And that shift, that internal realignment, is where power truly begins. You don't overcome approval addiction by becoming louder. You overcome it by becoming truer. When you stop living for applause, you start living for purpose. When you stop needing validation, you start creating impact. You become someone who is respected not because you're agreeable, but because you're authentic. And your authenticity, carries a strength no approval could ever match. Stop begging for acceptance. Start standing in your worth. The world doesn't need a more agreeable version of you. It needs the real you, the powerful you, the unapologetically honest you. Your voice is power, real, undeniable, irreplaceable power. And yet for far too long, you've been talked over, talked around, or talked into silence. Not because you lack strength, but because you were taught that speaking up makes you difficult, that expressing your truth makes you confrontational, that asserting yourself makes you unlikable. So you swallowed words that were meant to be spoken. You held back thoughts that could have changed conversations. You muted opinions that could have shifted dynamics. You dimmed a voice that was born to be heard. And in doing so, you didn't just protect others from discomfort, you buried parts of yourself. But hear this clearly. Every time you silence your voice to protect someone else's comfort, you abandon yourself. And no amount of friendliness can compensate for the emptiness that follows that betrayal. Silence is not grace. Silence is not humility. Silence is not peacekeeping. Silence, when chosen out of fear, is surrender. You surrender your space, your ideas, your identity. You give people permission to override your needs. You allow others to lead your life while you take a supporting role in your own story. And people get used to your silence so quickly that they forget you ever had something to say. They start to treat your quietness as certainty. They assume your agreement. They mistake your hesitation for consent. They treat your lack of protest as participation. And slowly, you become the person who doesn't mind, the one who goes with the flow, the one who doesn't want to make things complicated. But the truth is, your silence doesn't simplify things. It complicates them. It creates resentment, confusion, and disconnect inside you. And the worst part? No one even knows it's happening. Your voice is not a weapon. It's a compass. It points you toward your values, your boundaries, your truth. When you use it, you guide your life. When you avoid it, you drift. And drifting might feel peaceful at first. It might feel easier, less confrontational, but eventually it leads you somewhere you were never meant to be. Speaking up isn't about volume, it's about ownership. It's about saying, I deserve to be part of the decision. It's about saying, my needs matter too. It's about saying, I won't disappear to make space for everyone else. Using your voice doesn't make you difficult, it makes you real. But you weren't born to live inside the expectations of others. You were born to shape your world with the power of your own voice. There will come a moment, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, when you realize that staying silent has cost you more than speaking ever could. That your truth was worth sharing, that your presence was worth acknowledging, that your voice was worth hearing. And when that moment comes, don't whisper, don't soften, don't apologize. Speak with the fullness of someone who finally understands their own worth. Your voice carries experience, emotion, wisdom, and courage. It has been waiting for you to reclaim it, and when you do, your world shifts. Your relationships shift, your confidence shifts. You step into a life that reflects who you are, not who you are afraid to be. Stop hiding your voice, start honoring it. Speak not to be loud, but to be true, because your truth, spoken boldly, has the power to change everything. Respect comes from mystery, not availability, and that truth is something most people don't learn until they've exhausted themselves trying to be everywhere for everyone. You've been conditioned to believe that being accessible makes you kind, that answering every message makes you loyal, that showing up immediately makes you reliable. But in reality, it makes you predictable, easy to reach, easy to assume, easy to overlook. People stop valuing what they never have to wait for. They stop appreciating what they never have to earn. They stop noticing the depth of who you are because you've placed yourself in front of them so consistently that you've become part of the background. But mystery isn't about playing games, it's about protecting the parts of you that were never meant to be open to casual observers. Your emotional energy is not a public service. Your attention is not a free resource, and your presence is not something to be consumed on demand. When you make yourself constantly available, you unintentionally teach people to treat you like an option rather than a priority. They assume you'll reply instantly because you always do. They assume you'll adjust your schedule because you always have. They assume you'll understand their inconsistency because you've never challenged it. And over time, they stop seeing the value in your effort. Availability becomes expected. Kindness becomes taken for granted. Loyalty becomes exploited. Before you know it, you're giving out access that no one respects. You become the person people reach for when it's convenient, not when it's meaningful. And that kind of pattern is dangerous because it chips away at your self-worth while making you believe you're doing something noble. But there is nothing noble about being exhausted, drained, or emotionally overdrawn because you were too afraid to set limits. Mystery doesn't mean being distant, it means being discerning. It means understanding that not everyone deserves immediate access to you. It means choosing when and where you invest your time, instead of letting life and people pull you in every direction. It means recognizing that your energy has a cost, and not every relationship is worth paying that price. When you create space for yourself, real space, you reclaim your power. People begin to notice the difference. They feel your absence. They realize your presence isn't automatic anymore. And suddenly the conversations shift. They start to ask how you're doing rather than assume you're always available. They start to value your time rather than take it for granted. They start to treat your presence as something meaningful rather than something guaranteed. When you become selective, people become intentional. There is a profound strength in not being accessible all the time. It demands self-respect. It demands clarity. It demands the courage to say, my time matters, my peace matters, my boundaries matter. And when that shift happens within you, everything around you recalibrates. The people who only wanted you for convenience drift away, because convenience is no longer available. The people who truly care lean in more intentionally, because they understand your value. You stop attracting relationships built on neediness and start attracting relationships built on mutual respect. You stop participating in situations that drain you and start showing up for environments that elevate you. Your life becomes curated rather than chaotic. And with that, the respect you once chased begins to find you naturally. You don't have to explain your boundaries to anyone who respects them. Let your actions communicate what your emotions no longer need to defend. Slow replies don't mean you're rude, they mean you're prioritizing yourself. Saying, I'm not available doesn't mean you're neglectful. It means you're honoring your capacity. Choosing solitude doesn't mean you're withdrawing, it means you're protecting your spirit. And choosing not to share every detail of your life doesn't mean you are hiding. It means you understand that privacy is a form of power. Not every thought deserves to be spoken. Not every emotion deserves to be exposed. Not every part of your journey deserves to be public. Mystery allows you to grow without pressure, evolve without interference, and heal without an audience. There comes a moment when you realize the world doesn't reward the person who is always available. It rewards the person who is deeply aligned with themselves. The one who knows when to give and when to withhold. The one who knows when to speak and when to stay silent. The one who knows when to show up and when to step back. That kind of wisdom doesn't come from overextending. It comes from understanding your worth. And the moment you begin to protect your energy, your boundaries, your time, and your heart, something powerful happens. life starts to treat you the way you treat yourself. When you value your presence, others do too. When you become selective, you become respected. When you embrace mystery, you reclaim control of your narrative. Respect isn't earned by being constantly available. It's earned by knowing your worth and showing the world you refuse to give it away carelessly. No is a sentence, one of the most powerful, liberating sentences you will ever speak. But too often you treat it like it needs company, as if it's not enough on its own. You dress it up with apologies, soften it with excuses, pad it with explanations just so the other person doesn't feel uncomfortable. But why are you protecting other people's comfort more than your own boundaries? That habit didn't start today. It began long ago, when you were taught that saying no makes you selfish, rude, unkind. You learned to equate giving everyone what they want with being a good person. But let's be honest, you have burned out, stretched yourself thin, and abandoned your own needs in the name of being agreeable. You've apologized for prioritizing yourself as if it's a crime. But you're not hurting people by saying no. You're honoring the parts of you that have been ignored for too long. Every time you force yourself to say yes out of guilt, you reinforce the belief that your needs are secondary. You teach your mind that your desires can wait, your fatigue can wait, your peace can wait, and eventually, waiting becomes your entire life. You end up giving your time to people who don't respect it, giving your energy to situations that drain you, giving your attention to things you don't even want. That's how you lose yourself, not all at once, but through 1,000 tiny agreements you didn't want to make. You become resentful, exhausted, stretched beyond your limits, yet still smiling. That smile is heavy. That compliance is heavy. That willingness to show up for everyone but yourself is heavy. Saying no is not about shutting people out. It's about lifting the weight that never should have been on your shoulders in the first place. No creates space, precious necessary space. Space to rest, space to breathe, space to be honest about what you want, what you need, and what you refuse to tolerate. When you stop cushioning your boundaries with friendliness, something incredible happens. Clarity emerges. You start to see which relationships were built on mutual respect and which were built on your willingness to bend. Some people will pull away when you say no, not because you did something wrong, but because your boundaries no longer benefit them. And while that may sting, it is one of the greatest blessings you'll ever receive. Your no becomes a filter. It removes the users, the takers, the manipulators, the ones who only valued your compliance. It leaves room for the people who value you, not your availability. There is strength in saying no without guilt. Strength in not explaining yourself. Strength in choosing your well-being over someone else's expectation. That kind of strength doesn't come naturally. It's built over time. It begins with small moments when you decide, I can't do this right now, and actually honor it. It grows every time you resist the urge to justify your boundaries. It expands every time you remind yourself that your worth does not depend on how much you give. You don't owe your time to anyone who demands it. You don't owe your energy to people who drain it. You don't owe your presence to situations that harm your peace. You owe yourself honesty. You owe yourself rest. You owe yourself protection. And no is the shield that protects everything sacred inside you. When you finally allow yourself to say no, your life becomes more intentional. You stop scattering your energy across meaningless obligations. You stop running on empty. You stop feeling stretched in 5 directions at once. Instead, you begin investing in the things that actually matter. Your growth, your goals, your relationships that give instead of take. You start showing up fully instead of showing up resentfully. You learn the power of choosing yourself without apology. And the truth is, choosing yourself does not make you selfish. It makes you whole. It makes your yes more honest, your presence more authentic, your life more aligned. People may not always like your boundaries, but the right ones will respect them. And the ones who don't, they were never meant to walk with you into the next chapter of your life anyway. There will come a moment when you look back and realize that every time you said no, you were building a stronger version of yourself. You were carving out space for peace, for clarity, for self-respect, for growth. You were stepping out of the identity of the people pleaser and stepping into the identity of someone who understands their worth. And once you taste that kind of freedom, you will never let it go. You'll stop apologizing for protecting your time. You'll stop explaining your boundaries. You'll stop feeling guilty for putting yourself first. You'll understand that no was never rejection. It was direction. It was guiding you back to yourself, back to your strength, back to your power. Stop cushioning your boundaries. Start honoring them. No is not selfish. It's sacred. And the moment you learn to say it without apology, you become unstoppable. Your destiny requires a stronger version of you. Stronger than the version that keeps the peace to avoid discomfort. Stronger than the version that tiptoes around truth. Stronger than the version that prioritizes harmony over honesty. You may think you're being the bigger person by staying silent, staying friendly, staying agreeable, but the truth is, you're dimming a fire that was meant to blaze. Destiny isn't gentle. It doesn't reward timidity. It doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It calls you into rooms that demand your courage, your conviction, your spine. And the version of you that apologizes for taking up space cannot survive there. To step into the life you're meant for, you must evolve past the patterns that kept you small. You must stop choosing comfort over growth. You must stop playing a role that was never written for you. Your destiny demands your full strength, not the diluted version you've been offering. Think about all the times you laughed things off just to keep situations light. All the times you stayed quiet because you didn't want to create tension. All the times you let someone cross a boundary because correcting them felt too dramatic. These tiny compromises may seem harmless, but they add up. They train you to settle, they teach you to tolerate less than you deserve. They convince you that silence is safety, but it's not. Silence is self-abandonment when your spirit is begging to be heard. Your destiny doesn't want the version of you who shrinks or folds or smooths things over. It wants the version who stands tall even when shaking inside. It wants the version who refuses to disappear just to make the world more comfortable. Every time you choose your comfort zone over your courage, you drift further from the life that was meant to be yours. The dreams you carry were not given to the softened version of you. They were given to the bold one, the one you keep suppressing because you're scared of how people will react. But here's the truth. People will always have opinions. Some will cheer for you, some will criticize you, some will misunderstand you. None of that should dictate your strength. Your destiny doesn't depend on their approval. It depends on your alignment. And alignment requires bravery. It requires tough decisions, uncomfortable conversations, and the willingness to be disliked for the sake of your own truth. You cannot rise while trying to make everyone else comfortable. You cannot grow while clinging to opinions that were never meant to shape your life. You cannot fulfill your destiny while hiding the most powerful parts of yourself. Stop performing. Start living. Stepping into your strongest self means confronting the parts of you that were built in fear. The part that seeks validation. The part that avoids conflict. The part that doubts its worth. These parts served you once. They protected you, helped you survive, helped you adapt. But now, they are holding you back. There is a version of you waiting beyond them. A version that knows how to lead, how to speak with authority, how to make decisions from grounded confidence instead of shaky fear. But you can't meet that version until you release the habits that keep you small. You can't stay committed to your comfort and your calling at the same time. One has to go. And if you want to step into your destiny, the comfort has to be the first thing you let go of. This stronger version of you doesn't tolerate half-hearted effort or half-present relationships. This version does not negotiate with disrespect. This version does not minimize dreams or shrink ambitions to fit into someone else's idea of reasonable. This version calls in opportunities instead of waiting for them. This version chooses authenticity over convenience. This version speaks even when her voice trembles. This version stands firm even when the world tries to convince her she's too much. And here's the powerful secret. This version already exists inside you. You've glimpsed her every time you felt a surge of truth in your chest. Every time you felt your intuition whisper that you deserved more. Every time you felt a spark of courage before fear smothered it. That spark is the beginning of your strength. The strength your destiny is waiting for you to fully embrace. One day you will look back and realize that everything you ever wanted required one thing from you: the courage to become who you were always meant to be. The courage to stop dimming your light. The courage to speak your truth. The courage to say no when necessary and yes when it counts. The courage to choose purpose over people-pleasing. And when you finally choose that path, your entire world shifts. Your relationships shift. Your opportunities shift. Your identity shifts. Because destiny favors the bold. It rewards the honest. It elevates the courageous. And once you step into that identity, fully, unapologetically, you awaken a power that was buried beneath years of being too friendly, too accommodating, too silent. It's time to rise into the version of yourself your destiny has been waiting for. Stop shrinking for the world around you. Start expanding into the world ahead of you. Your destiny belongs to the strongest, truest, most unapologetic version of you. Step into her now.